Quasi here, and in this video, I'm going to show you ways in which you procrastinate that you don't even know about, and really learn how to overcome procrastination by shifting your identity. This video is going to show you how to grow your business, or even start your business. And if you find that you've been procrastinating on this for a very, very long time, how to identify behaviors and patterns and what actually makes you procrastinate and overcome those through what we call shifting your identity, changing your self-image, okay? I want you to stick around to the very end of this video because I'm gonna share with you stuff that we use from our clients in the paid program, the Reality Mastery program, and give you 3 keys that you can implement right now to immediately destroy procrastination. Before I begin this video, I want to announce that spots have opened up for the free one-to-one consult with me and my team for the Reality Mastery program. Just wait till the end of the video for the announcement on how to sign up for that. And with that, let's get started. So today I want to talk to you about overcoming procrastination. And now we're going to do this with a way that you've probably never heard before. Maybe you've seen me talk about in this channel, which is basically shifting your identity. Why I talk about identity shifting so much and changing yourself, your whole self-concept so much, is because I found this to be the most effective way to inducing any sort of permanent lasting change. And the biggest problem I've seen is that people can change, but it's always a temporary change that they're seeing because they've started to identify with certain actions, habits, patterns, and they've been living by those patterns for their whole lives. And because of that, a quick gimmick, a quick shift helps them for a couple of days, but it doesn't really drive in the necessary changes at that core level. That's why it never really lasts. And that's why I always talk about identity shifting. And I've personally seen in my life, in every single area of my life, in helping me grow a business from absolute zero to doing 150K a month, in helping me become more attractive, in helping me work out, be healthier, in helping me even heal my body. All of these things were a result of me shifting my identity. So I'm going to explain to you why you can use this to overcome procrastination and how you can use this to overcome that. Now, I want you to understand that the core principle of procrastination, of not being able to do the work, is misalignment. I'm going to explain to you what that means in a second. But misalignment essentially is you want to do something, right? You intellectually know that you need to do this in order to get XYZ result, but you just can't do it. Emotionally, you haven't gotten there yet. Emotionally, that realization hasn't happened that, wait a second, this is actually good for me. So this is what I mean by misalignment. Intellectual and emotional congruence. So if you intellectually know that you need to do something and emotionally you're like, wait a second, yeah, that's the right thing to do. I feel it, that's the right thing to do. You're gonna go ahead and do it right now. There is no doubt about that. The biggest reason people procrastinate is because they want to do something, but they can't derive any sort of benefit from it. They don't feel good. They don't feel that dopamine rush from it. So to give you an example, bad habits get ingrained into people because they kind of get a reward from bad habits. Right? Habits that don't serve you, like playing video games. Let's say you've had a long work day and at the end of the work day, you reward yourself with video games. That gives your brain a dopamine spike and it tells you long work days are good because video games will be played afterwards. The reward you're gonna get is video games. Just keep doing this. That's why if you want to start up a business, you can't do it. And then your brain also connects working long work days, working hard, 40 hours a week is good because you get a paycheck. That paycheck becomes your dopamine spike. Whenever that money hits your bank account every 2 weeks, you get a dopamine spike. So now your cycle of getting this dopamine hit becomes 2 weeks. And then when you try to start up a business and in 2 weeks you don't get results, you're like, shit, this doesn't work. I didn't get paid. I tried it for 2 weeks and I didn't get paid. Dude, it took me a year to get my first money online. So there's a long wait before you figure out the things that you need to do in order to make that money. Probably won't take you as long, but I was stubborn. So the core principle is misalignment intellectually and emotionally. You can't derive any sort of benefits from the behavior you're trying to ingrain. That's why you don't do it. You just give up on it. You chase the next shiny object and the next thing that you think is going to help because you're like, oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. The grass always looks greener on the other side, but it isn't. And there are 2 stages of procrastination. The first stage is at the beginner stage for entrepreneurs. Okay, and what happens is they're like, I want to grow I want to start my business. I want to quit my 9 to 5, get financial freedom. Okay, let's start an Amazon FBA business. Let's try this, let's do this. And then they try that, they don't get results within a couple of weeks. They're like, shit, it doesn't work. I pumped so much money into ads, it doesn't work. They just give up. It's not that it didn't work. They just didn't try hard enough and make the necessary iterations. So then they gave up. Instead of making a pivot, they just completely ditched that idea. Instead of understanding and learning the lessons, it's like you invest all of this money, but you don't use the lessons that you learned from that failure, right? So that's why you keep repeating those mistakes over and over again with a new opportunity. So that's what's happened. This is what happens to beginner entrepreneurs. They want to go out there and start a business, and they know they need to do the work, but they just jump from one thing to the next, one thing to the next, one thing to the next. This is a form of procrastination. Jumping from one thing to the next is a form of procrastination because you don't want to go in depth. You want to always hover at the surface level of every single opportunity. This is why their businesses don't succeed. And then what happens is they always ask, well, I've tried so many things. Now what's the point? The main idea here is there's always a focus on the downsides. What's the point? Their brains become so ingrained in failure that it's like, oh, what's the point in doing this? Why on earth would I do this? And this is why they procrastinate. They kind of know that, I got to do this and I got to do that. But they're like, what's the point? The same thing happens, by the way, to advanced business owners who are already doing 20, 30, 40, 50K a month. Happens to me even. And when I look at it, it's like, I'm already doing so well. Why on earth would I want to go and hire someone? Why on earth would I want to spend this much money on advertising? Why on earth would I want to spend 30 grand on another mastermind, even though it might not get me any results? So what happens is I was procrastinating on hiring someone to take the calls because I was spending 12 hours a day doing these enrollment calls for our program. And I was like, shit, I'm burning out every single day, 12 hours a day. I'm on the phone. I can't work on serving our clients better. I can't work on making the product better. I can just be on the phone doing sales. So I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, maybe I should hire someone. And then I was like, but then I would have to pay this person and train this person. If I train this person, that would mean for a month I might not make anything because they might not do well. So then I was focusing on these downsides again, right? Like, what's the point? It will fail. So when you think about a decision and you look at the downsides immediately and you keep focusing on the downsides, that's what makes you procrastinate, right? You're always focused on the downsides, so you keep putting it off. So I kept putting off the hiring decision as long as I could. I was on the phones for like 8 months, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, right? That's what I was just doing. So at the second stage of even advanced business owner, you have the same problem carrying on. This is because of the lack of self-awareness and the predominant focus on what could go wrong and the downsides. I don't want to lose what's already good for me. So people who are wanting to start up a business, they're like, the job pays me well. I get a paycheck every couple of weeks. Why do a business? Why do that? I'm already doing 100 grand a month, on my own, and I'm making a shit ton of profits. It's 90% profit margin. Why on earth would I want to hire someone and actually pay them? That was my thinking. So then once I realized, wait a second, the upsides actually outweigh the downsides. There's actually bigger gains than what I have to lose. That's when I made the decision. Just like with the business, I was looking at why start a business, right? When I got first started, I was like, why start a business? Well, I don't want to be here in this toxic environment for the next 60 years and retire from this, wanting to stick my arms in one of the machines and kill myself. No, I would rather do something that I'm actually passionate about. Oh God, I do not want to live like this. So it always begins with like pain, right? You always look at what you want to get away from. The impetus always arises from, wait a second, I want to get away from this. But forward movement never happens until you focus on the pleasure. Okay, until you focus on what you actually want to move towards. This brings me to the motivation, what actually helps you overcome this, which is pain and pleasure. Now, most people don't know how to use pain and pleasure, and this took me a long time to figure out. What pain is supposed to do is deter you from behaviors that don't support the goal. What pleasure is supposed to do is incentivize you to do more things that actually support the goal. So to give you an example, I'll feel pain if I don't work on the business. And I'll feel pleasure if I do work on the business and do activities that are serving the business, right? So what most people do is they use pain to punish themselves even when they're succeeding and they're doing well. You know, they'll like do a 20K month and then they'll feel pain. They're like, oh shit, I should have gotten those 2 extra clients. That's what was happening to me. I was looking at, oh shit, I could have done better. Now what this does is it disincentivizes you from doing the work and getting clients, and it puts you in a negative feedback loop. Every time you get a client, you punish yourself. You're like, I could have done better. I could have charged more. It keeps you in a habit of looking at the downsides. This is why this cycle of procrastination keeps going on and on and on, because you just keep focusing on the downside. You keep becoming downsides oriented as opposed to upsides oriented. Okay, I hope this is making sense. Pain never gives you direction. It just deters you and tells you what you shouldn't do. Pleasure is what actually gives you a direction. You're like, I'm pursuing that. What do I want instead? Okay, I know what I don't want and what isn't serving me. What do I want instead? When you're starting up, pain is going to be very, very helpful. When you're a beginner entrepreneur and you look at behaviors that aren't serving you and you kind of like don't take action, pain is going to be very, very crucial. It's going to be your best friend. But then once you get to a certain stage, then you got to be more about vision and pleasure. You can't think about vision and pleasure when you have no money in your bank account. You really can't. It's difficult. There's got to be a certain element of it, a certain balance of it. But the balance is more tipped towards pain than towards pleasure. I learned a lot of my lessons through pain than from pleasure. You learn more lessons from pain. That's very, very true, right? Now, let's talk about why we keep staying stuck in that downside focus. What happens is, if you keep experiencing the same things and the same rewards, the same cycle of paychecks, you craft this identity, okay? And this identity becomes consolidated. So this is a consolidated identity. You feel comfortable at this position. When you feel comfortable with what you have, you're never going to want to move towards what you want. If I were comfortable with the paycheck I was getting and I were comfortable with the environment I was working in, I would never have made the decision to go and start up my own business. Do you see that? Because I was uncomfortable, because I hated that environment, I was looking for other things. Okay? Pain didn't give me a direction. It just told me what I didn't want. It deterred me from that. And then I looked for pleasure. I was like, financial freedom. That's what I want. I want to live life in my own terms and do things that I love to do. Okay, what do I want? That's what spurred me onto the exploration, looking for what I actually wanted. So you've got to find the right balance of pain and pleasure, and you've got to understand that your identity is becoming too rigid because of what you're experiencing day by day. You identify as someone who is just an employee. You don't identify as someone who is a business owner and an entrepreneur. So now let's talk about the 3 solutions that you can use right now to overcome this pattern once and for all. Solution and key number 1, setting a results-based goal. Okay? So always begin with what it is that you want. We do all of this in the Reality Mastery program, by the way. This is straight from the program itself. This is straight from the program where people have gotten results like going from 5K a month to 100K a month in their business. People who've been searching for financial freedom and they haven't found it. Within a couple of months, they've come in and done a 5K month in a brand new business venture. How did this happen? Because they focus on this internal transformation and not just that shiny object and the grass is greener on the other side and procrastinating on what the real issue is, which is you, right? So always focus first on what do I want? Define a goal, okay? Let's say you are wanting to start up a business and maybe you have to go out there and do X, Y, Z. Let's say you want to be an agency owner. Let's say you want to be a coach or a consultant and you found an online business opportunity, right? And now you define your niche, etc. And now you're like, okay, well, the result I want is by the end of this month, I want 3 clients. Okay, let's say you want 3 clients, or let's say you want to, make 5K a month. Okay, that's your results goal, 5K a month. 5K a month in my own business. Now, that's step 1. You kind of define what you want. Okay, what does life look like when I hit that 5K a month in my own business? It looks like this. I'm enjoying daily communicating with my clients. They're getting results. They're doing well. Or maybe you want to sell products on Amazon, right? Maybe you want to make profits in your trading. Maybe you want to get clients in real estate. Whatever it is. What does life look like once this goal has been achieved, after this goal has been achieved? And you use that as a basis of visualizing. And now what will happen is the process will sort of come to you because you already probably know what you need to do as a next step to help you inch a step closer to that 5K a month goal. That's all you need right now. What do I need to do? The next step is a process goal. Okay? You look at, okay, how do I get there? How can I get to that 5K a month? What do I know now? What is that first thing I know now? Let's say you are an agency owner or a coach and you're like, I need to do outreach. I need to do organic outreach and reach out to 10 people and strike up 10 conversations a day. 10 conversations. But you see that you're procrastinating on this, right? 10 conversations a day. And you do it. You do it first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, 10 conversations. But you don't see anything coming from that. You're not getting forward to getting those appointments. You're not getting forward to, scheduling those calls. So now you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe it's not working. And now what's happening is you're reaching a threshold for that dopamine spike because you're waiting for a dopamine spike. You're like, how can I get that feeling that I got in my job or I got paid after working, X hours a day? At the end of the week, I got paid, but I haven't gotten paid yet. I haven't seen any results yet. So now you're like, oh shit, it's not working. Instead of learning from your mistakes, you start to, you're like, oh, this opportunity isn't working. Maybe I need to try something. Maybe I need to, try a new shiny object and try like Facebook groups or try YouTube videos. So then you start doing all of those instead of focusing on the main thing. What happened is, how do you know on day 7 you're not going to actually get a call or get a client? You're not giving it enough time that it needs to in order for someone to, kind of schedule a call with you, get ingrained and indoctrinated in your business and understand and develop trust with you, right? So because you're not doing that and you just completely abandon this, you've just made some progress and now you've just completely cut out on that. This is why procrastination always leads to you never getting results. So that's your process goal. You say you're gonna do 10 conversations a day, stick to it. Now let's talk about how you can stick to that process. How can you do this? And this is where this identity comes in. Going from that previous identity of I'm someone who used to get results within 5 days or 10 days to, so this is identity goal. Who do I need to become to get to that 5K a month? Okay? Who do I need to become in order to be worthy of that 5K a month? I need to become someone who's resilient in doing whatever it takes, how many ever outreaches it takes to get to that 5K a month. I'm someone who doesn't give up. I'm someone who continues this 10 outreaches until I get results. And if after 30 days I haven't gotten results, then I will alter my strategy, or 40 days or 50 days or 2 months, whatever it is that's needed in the kind of business that you're in, right? So your identity goal is who. So you can switch up the process of 3 and 2. That's what we usually do in the program, but I'm just listing it to you right now. I forgot to switch it around. But this usually comes first. Like you've got to be clear on who it is you need to become before you focus on the how. Okay? So this is the how. This is the what, this is the how, this is the who. All right? So result goal, process goal, identity goal. Who is the kind of business owner that does 5K a month? Is it the one that gives up? Before you even make a new decision, you've got to ask yourself this. Before you go on the how, you've got to ask yourself this. Who does this? Who do I want to become? Who am I becoming? This is so effective that if you want to even lose weight, right, and you ask like, would the healthy person who weighs my ideal goal weight do this activity? Would this healthy person who's in my ideal goal weight eat this food? No. Easy, simple decision. Before you make a decision, before you make an action, just in the morning, remind yourself, who am I being? Who am I becoming today? Who is it that does this? Is it this ideal self? Or is it this self that, again, falls into that same pattern? Just make that a trigger. Before you act in any way, just have a sort of mindfulness about who it is you're embodying. Is this the 5K a month successful business owner making this decision? Or is this, this employee mindset who's just waiting for a quick result and a quick dopamine hit? That's what you got to get clear on. Once you get clear on that, you'll see a lot of your procrastination just goes away. Because what happened to me when I was stuck in that hiring process was, okay, who makes this decision about hiring and having this temporary drawback? Even if I do hire someone and maybe temporarily I don't make as much money, can I be okay with that? In doubling down on who it is I'm becoming, that 300K a month version of myself. Because I know there's no way I can get to 300K a month on my own. I need an awesome team to support me, right? And there is no I in getting to 300K a month. It's got to be we now. It can't be I anymore. So I had to go from that individual, let me do everything, to let's delegate, let's trust an employee, let's let go of my control a little bit more. And it was uncomfortable at first because I wasn't used to it. My identity was that of, I control everything, direct feedback. If a client doesn't join, I know what I'm going wrong. I trust myself, to trusting someone else completely, right? That was very, very difficult for me to do. But the only way I could do that was by getting clear on who I needed to become. Okay, so I hope that's of benefit to you, and with that I conclude this video. Let's really recap and see what we talked about today and how you can use this to overcome procrastination. Obviously we talked about procrastination today, and the biggest reason you procrastinate is because you can't find some benefit to the activity you're intending to do. Intellectually you know, emotionally you don't realize. Okay, so there's a misalignment, an incongruence within you, intellectually and emotionally. So now you ask, what's the point? What's the point of doing this? And the sole reason this happens at every single stage is you're always looking at the downsides. You're really, really comfortable with what you have, so you hold on to it. You hold on to this 100 grand a month or 10K a month that you're doing in your business, or you hold on to this 9 to 5 that you have. It's comfortable, it's supporting your family. So now what's going to happen is, unfortunately, you've got to feel pain. You've got to know what to do, when to use what, right? So this is what brings us to pain and pleasure. Pain always deters you from behaviors that aren't serving you. Pleasure gives you a direction for those behaviors and gives you a north star to move towards. Okay? And the biggest problem is that consolidated identity. At every single stage, you become too comfortable because I am an employee. I am the kind of person who does 100 grand a month in my business. The 3 solutions to this are to just define and have a goal for each and every one of these. Every single day, your goal should be that identity goal. That's what you just hold in mind. Forget about the results. Just define the results. You define the results to give yourself a direction. Don't craft an identity that's attached to the results. Craft an identity that's attached and determined by the process. Okay? So the results help you derive both of these, but then you forget them. So the first step is, what do I want? 5K a month, own business. Process. How? How am I going to get there? What's the first thing I know that'll help me get there? Oh, I can just do this. Don't worry about the whole shebang and plotting out a whole map, because you don't know that yet. You're just going to overthink this, right? Now, there are different advices. There's different advice to people at different stages in their business, right? For people who are just starting off, you need to act. For people who want to make a big decision, you've got to think about it. So it depends on what stage you are. You've got to be mindful of that. And then define your identity goal. Understand that, the way I'm acting is directly corresponding to who I view myself as, what my self-image is. Because I view myself as someone who gets a result within 5 days of starting up a new venture or doing some sort of job, I'm expecting results now. You've got to change that. Because intellectually you know. This is how you get that emotional, by the way. The emotional realization comes once you develop a clear picture of who you are and who you're not. This is why people also easily quit drugs and others don't. Because they identify as, people say, oh, I'm a smoker that's trying to quit. Versus, I'm a non-smoker. If you're smoking and you're trying to quit and you identify as a smoker who's trying to quit, you're always going to relapse. But if you identify as someone, wait, I just don't do this. I don't do this anymore. I'm not this anymore. I'm a non-smoker. If you identify as that, it's going to be much easier to get rid of those bad habits. Okay? So with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. Please leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of this, if this was helpful to you. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And as I mentioned before, the free one-to-one consult with me and my team for the Reality Mastery Program is now open. Now, who this consult is for is people who are looking to seriously work together with me, alongside me, to help them level up their lives and level up their businesses. And what they're seeing is they don't have a business tactical or strategic problem. And even if they do, they're seeing that this tactical or strategic problem is stemming from their own personal limitations. They find that they are afraid every single day, wake up with crippling fear, and this fear is preventing them from seeing the opportunities that are right under their nose. They're focusing on the downsides, they're focusing on the wrong things, they procrastinate, they have these limiting beliefs, and they've had these beliefs and the same pattern has been going on for a very long time, which is directly translating them into keeping stuck at a certain revenue level or just being inconsistent with their business. Okay? If that sounds like you, if you really want to grow and be consistent at growth, then I invite you to click the link in the description below to schedule your free consult with us. Let's see if we can help. Let's see if we can take you to the next level. Okay, and the free Facebook group is open for you to take advantage of. The link for that is also in the description. We're only letting in entrepreneurs and professionals in there. Very, very high quality people. It's an awesome community. Please fill up that 3-question survey. If you don't fill it up, we can't approve you. Again, thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Peace.